So welcome to Talk On to Walk On, our first episode of 2026. For those who follow us regularly on socials or follow the podcast, you'll know that we've been away. So we didn't, which we had planned to do, but we didn't do, our final episode of 2025, looking back and looking forward to the new year. So we thought we probably missed the boat on that. But what we noticed is when we got back, social media was full of reflection on the 10 years between 2016 and 2026. So people were looking back and comparing their lives to then and now. But we thought it was quite a good idea because we actually looked at each other and said, this time 10 years ago, we hadn't even met.
Yeah, 2016 is quite a big year for us because it is the year when we met.
Yes.
So it's a lovely chunk of time to be able to look back on.
If you're listening to this and you feel like you want to make changes in your life and think, actually, it might be A, too late, or B, I haven't got the time, or C, I've got too much going on. At the start of 2016, I was actually on antidepressants. And without being too much of a doom and gloomer, I think those who have listened to the podcast will know that I lost my mum in 2015. I was divorced in 2014. Life was a bit crazy for me, and my biggest go-to was distraction. That's the first place I want to start, really, is that if you're stuck or if you're in a really low place right now, please do know that life can change, life can improve. I'm not about to say, oh, Patrick came along and solved all that, but what I am going to say is you have to be courageous and really start to look at your own life and see how you can make changes.
And we'll talk about this during this episode, which is about the effort needed to make space for yourself.
Absolutely.
You described your life as a little bit crazy, but you've learned to make space for yourself and to be conscious and live more intentionally in terms of what is right for you going forwards.
It's not easy to make space, though.
It's not easy for anyone. Anyone who's living a busy life, who's working, has all sorts of other things going on in their life. To be able to say, no, stop, make space, think about myself, it's far easier said than done.
Yeah. I mean, I think we have to normalise that we all resist change, don't we? Because I think it's a bit scary to actually stop and think about what you want. Sometimes it's just far easier to just keep going and stick with the life that you've created and stick with those habits, good and bad, that you just think, oh, I've just got to get through this. I've just got to get through this, get through to the next day. But it does require courage.
It does, particularly at that point in your life in terms of age. And we've talked about this before, is that as you get older, the natural tendency is to get stuck in your ways. Making change requires more courage. I think the default is to stay the same.
Yeah, but coming back to our timeline, we met in 2016, and we were laughing saying we actually met. There was no online, whatever it is. Well, I was on Match.com, but that's a whole other story. But we didn't meet that way.
No, we didn't.
But there wasn't this swiping left and right how we met, which is how a lot of people meet these days, isn't it?
I always, whenever you say we met in 2016, I always chuckle because I always think about where and how we met. Where we met was in a wine bar, at a bar. So how we met, it was a business meeting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So on the one hand, you could say it was really quite
It was business.
dull and boring.
Honestly.
But that facilitated us meeting. But it was over a nice glass of red wine.
Yeah, that helped.
It did. The interesting thing about 2016 and the few years, 2 or 3 years after that, is that our lives didn't really change in a massive way. Yes, we met each other. You had your own consultancy business. I had a steady job in Liverpool.
Yeah.
And so our lives just went on. I think the consciousness of big changes in our lives didn't really come until we decided to get married.
Yeah, true. But during that time, it wasn't all romance and roses, was it? It wasn't like plain sailing. But what we did do, and it comes back to the essence of Talk On to Walk On, and we were chatting about this just last night, was a lot of our relationship was built on conversation. Because we didn't see each other an awful lot. Though Hannah might disagree on that. But certainly in the first year, a lot of it was telephone call conversation, wasn't it?
We'd had our day at work.
Yeah.
You had got home. Hannah had done her homework. You'd given her tea.
Yeah.
And then
And
later on in the
everything
evening,
Yeah.
I would give you a call,
That's right.
and we'd end up talking on the phone,
Yeah.
and having that conversation.
If I hadn't fallen asleep with Hannah.
Yes, true.
You did. You remember? I used to wake up like, oh, and then I go
3 missed calls.
yeah. So yeah, we did. We had a lot of conversations on the phone, and really, I think that's how we truly got to know each other. And I think that's really interesting because my counsellor, I don't see face to face either. So I think I've learned something about myself there, just on reflection, is that I know I'm a good listener, but I think listening to somebody's voice and allowing the pauses and allowing the silence and not necessarily being distracted by what somebody looks like or how they're dressed or, you know, all these things aesthetically are actually obviously important for a relationship in terms of attraction and stuff. But to me, the essence of our relationship was built on conversation, wasn't it? And it still is.
Yeah.
The ongoing challenges of our relationship always come back to, we need to talk about this. And we have to listen to each other intentionally. We are really conscious of that, aren't we?
We are. And we have to keep on working at it.
Yeah.
Because you can have conversation but still have miscommunication. And we have that every now and then.
A lot.
I'll say something, you won't hear me, or we'll misinterpret, more likely the other way around. But you have to learn to take a deep breath, be patient, and have the conversation.
And that's in any relationship though, but I do think that is the secret to success in terms of, you know, you've got to remember it's about the small stuff. It's not, and about, again, pausing and listening to each other. But it's not just about relationships, is it? It's friendships, it's anything that you choose to do that you want to put your energy into takes effort and time and patience and pausing and reflecting. When you go at something at 55 million miles an hour, it's not sustainable, is it? This is the one thing that I think that I've learned in the last 10 years, to take time to reflect and go, actually, am I heading in the right direction? Actually, is this what I want? Actually, are these the people I want to be around? Actually, is this what I want to be absorbing and listening to? Is this are these part of my values? Is this part of my identity and who I want to be going forward? What
You read in the literature suggests that it's the minority of people who actually stop, and because it makes, as we say, it takes courage and it takes effort to stop and then reflect. Try to live more intentionally, or try to be more intentional in terms of the way you're thinking about your relationships, how you're living your life, and so on. It's the minority, but we found it's so important, and it comes back to making space. It's making space for yourself, even making space in your brain, pausing and saying, right, okay, well, I'm going to stop, and for 20 minutes, I'm just going to get a bit of paper, think about things.
Write things down. Yeah. Honestly, it's so powerful to do that. My life before 2016 was utterly chaotic. And I'm not saying that was a bad thing, but I would say, for want of a better phrase, definitely had some burnout issues, definitely had anxiety issues, and all that comes with not stopping. I mean, in the Christmas of 2015, 2016, I just didn't want to face it because I'd lost my mum. So what did I do? I booked a flight for me and Hannah, and we went to Florence and we went to Paris, and everyone's like, maybe that's sounds really extravagant, but it wasn't about the extravagance. It was about just getting away and distracting my brain and keeping us busy and keeping Hannah distracted from my grief and her grief as well. My answer to everything, and I do still fall into this, but it's how I manage it now, is distraction. If something I'm struggling with, I go, okay, right, distraction, I'll change something, I'll do something, I'll take on a project. You know, that is my fallback, but I am aware of it now. I wasn't aware of it then. And that's come from my counselling and realising it's part of who I am. It's part of what I've always done. But 2016 to 2026, was a time of, okay, I acknowledge that that's who I am, that's what I do, that's my go-to, that's my fallback. Be aware of it and be aware of the implications of those decisions and why I'm doing it. Pause to ask myself the question why.
So just going back to that 2016, and you were saying you were going away with Hannah for distraction and so on. I think you do yourself a little bit of a disservice in terms of the way you were in 2016. Now, whether it was masking or not, if you were as crazy or your life was as crazy as it was with hindsight, that you can look back and think that, I probably would have run a mile.
I'm surprised you didn't.
But to me, it wasn't. To me, I was just impressed how you had everything together. You had lost your mum in the previous August. You were a single mum. You'd been through your divorce. You were bringing up Hannah, who was had just turned into her teenage years. I was just so impressed with the way you lived your life. Now, obviously, with hindsight, I can understand, because we've talked about it so much, what was going on in your mind, what was in your head. It was like
scrambled eggs. But I was focused, and that it gave me, I suppose I've got to, and I have tried to do this, is see it as an achievement rather than a negative, and see it as, being proud of myself for getting through that. And I, the listeners, whoever's listening today, is please be proud of yourself, of what you've achieved. Don't think, I'm saying it was crazy and chaotic, but it doesn't mean I'm not proud of that time. What I'm trying to say is that's part of who I am. I do like a bit of crazy. I do like a bit of chaos, but I also acknowledge that stability is quite important as well. And what I've tried to do over the last 10 years, and it's taken a lot of work, and I'm still working on it. It's progress, not perfection, is bridging the old Michelle and the new Michelle. I'm finding that bridge of balance between who I am instinctively, and that's all I ever knew, to actually there is power in pausing and taking some stock. But the old me's definitely still there. But I am surprised you didn't run a mile. But I think for you, your life was very stable. The extreme of the opposite to me.
Yeah.
People tend to crave what they haven't got, I suppose.
I had the capacity, because I was living in a very, very, very stable environment. That gave me the capacity probably to absorb craziness without me even realizing it.
Yeah.
So, and it was exciting. It was an exciting time for both of us.
It was, yeah.
During those years. Interesting what you were just saying in terms of, there are aspects about you and your idiosyncrasies and that haven't changed since before. You're writing things down. We can point to drawers and cupboards which are full of journals.
I'm just looking over there now.
Things writing things down. But the thing about writing things down, which I've learned, my attitude to writing things down was, well, when are you going to refer back to all of this sort of stuff? You're writing it all down. Unless you keep it all organized and everything, you don't. And that's what I've learned. You don't have to refer back to it. It's the act of writing it down which clears your brain and crystallizes certain things. Yeah. And even if the bit of paper or the notepad that you've written or journaled or jotted down notes is then put in a drawer, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Because it's that act of getting it out of your head onto a piece of paper and just seeing it there. But in terms of, we got married in 2019, just moving forward, it wasn't without its wobbles. It wasn't without, we were both exhausted. We had a great wedding. It wasn't about me and you, really, I think, when I look back. For me, I don't know whether you thought this, for me, it was about just celebrating a fresh start, bringing our families together and giving back to people that meant something to us. Yeah. But even now, when I look back, I thought I'd got it right, but there were guests at that wedding we don't even speak to anymore.
Yes.
That's just nuts, isn't it?
And others who we now say, well, why didn't we invite them to our wedding?
Straight away, I just, there are people that should have been there, but we were just so busy and crazy, and we wanted to keep it small. But again, I have beaten myself up about that.
When you were talking about 2016 being, your life was crazy, I think our lives were crazy in 2019. There was so much that went on during that year. resigned from my job earlier on in 2019, although I was still working in it. You then left your job towards the beginning of 2020, end of
just before lockdown.
We had Hannah's GCSEs, we had the house to deal with. So that was a crazy year.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to know whether, did we create space? Did we make space for ourselves?
No.
We were just getting on with things, weren't we?
But we had a great wedding out of it. Yeah. We've got a gorgeous house out of it. But the space we were giving was to make sure we were creating something for our families and something for us. Yes. So, I mean, okay, I've talked about how there's certain people at the wedding we don't really see on part of our lives now, but, you know, we'd still always be polite and say hello, and it was a moment in time. But at the same time, we created a day that brought people together who we're still incredibly close to, and we've lost people since then as well. But we can go, God, they all got together. The older, your godparents and older family friends, a younger family friend has passed away. We've lost quite a few people since then, but we can look back and smile and go, they all had a great day. And we created a memory for them.
Absolutely.
So the time that we invested was about other people. The time we invested into the house was about creating a beautiful home for us and the kids. But the essence of that still was giving away our energy on it, but we chose to give that away into something that we thought was worthwhile, even though it was a crazy year. I don't have any regrets about that.
Yeah, and the pausing and living intentionally, I don't think was there.
No,
life was
not.
Just happening.
Yeah.
And of course, 2020, and we've talked about this numerous times before, 2020 lockdown.
Yeah.
That pausing was imposed on the whole of society.
Yeah, but for us it was perfect timing. We always say that. It was just a time for us to go, what the hell? We literally just were like, how did we manage to do that? So even though up to 2019 life was crazy, even if life is crazy, just make sure that it's crazy in the right direction. So we were creating the foundation for our marriage, weren't we? We were by getting everybody we knew and loved together. We were sharing our values, that it was important to us that our friends and family got along, that they knew that they were going to still play a big part in our new life.
Yes.
The house that we did was always about, it was a house at the time, now it's a home. We have spent the last few years making sure it's a home and that it's open to our family and friends. I mean, the joke my auntie always says is I need to take the vacation sign down from outside our house. But yeah, it is tiring when we have people stay over, but we love it, don't we? And that was the reason we invested the time that we did into making the house the way that it is.
It was a crazy time, but we can look back and say, well, we're actually in control of the craziness. So
that's actually a good point. I didn't feel like I was in control.
Yeah, exactly. At the time, we didn't think that. We thought it was just like,
we were focused,
when is this all going to stop?
We were focused because we had deadlines.
Yes.
And you do need, I do slightly miss, sorry, that's the dog. We do miss the deadlines a little bit with our new life. Even though it's a much slower pace and we're both still working, me with both of us with the coaching now and, the non-exec work and mentoring that we do and the podcast, the one thing we try and do is self-impose those deadlines, but I do miss a good deadline because it does make me focused. Because we grew up on that, didn't we? Yes. Our corporate life was all about deadlines and solutions and focus. And I do think it is about, again, it's about balance. If you want to keep achieving things and making impact, which is what we still want to do.
Yes. In terms of making space for yourself, but staying motivated, staying living your life in a way where you're still achieving things and moving forwards.
Yeah.
Requires a toolbox.
Yeah. It has to be what works for you at the time. You'll have your own toolbox. You need to develop it, but there'll be days where you just need a bloody good walk. There'll be days where my go-to is often just jump in the shower and just put the water over my head to clear my head. Obviously, we've got the dogs, breath work, putting on a really great song and having a good dance and a good sing or a good shout out or whatever, to get out any frustrations. Calling a friend, good conversation, all those things is what we mean by a toolbox. And it sounds quite obvious when you say it, but work out what works for you and remember, just go, right, I'm going to go into that toolbox when I need it.
But it requires intention. Otherwise, your life will just drift. It's so easy for a life just to drift on day to day, day to day. And that's when you then end up looking back and thinking, what did I achieve last month? Or what did I achieve in the last 6 months?
Some people like that, though, don't they? We're not here to judge, are we? We just know that that's not for us. We know that we like to have that sense of achievement. But again, I think that's because of how we've been brought up and how we've been, on that treadmill of what's next. Some people crave retirement, which we hate that word, don't we? And some people, are dying for that day, literally.
When literally they think that their work will stop and suddenly they're in a period of rest for the rest of their lives. And we have our views on that in terms of it. I think it's dangerous territory.
We think it's dangerous territory. We still think like your life has to have that sense of purpose and meaning. But you can find purpose and meaning in all kinds of things, can't you? Whether it's gardening, through to volunteering, through to, giving your time to other people. But I think what we're trying to say is that midlife necessarily in our last 10 years wasn't about, we had the chance to start again with a fresh relationship. But it's about starting to value, and again, we've talked about this in other podcasts, your time and your energy and where you put that energy, and to stop ignoring what start off as whispers in your body or whispers in your head till it's screaming at you, because they don't go away. What you think needs to change, the aches and the pains and the whatever they are natural, but that you can deal with them. And just don't accept it. Just go, okay, all right, clock that. What am I going to do about it?
When we talk about making space for yourself, there are all sorts of things that we sort of say, well, we need to stop doing that. Stop doing this.
It's not just about new habits. It's stopping,
negative. Step back from people who drain your energy. We've talked about switch off the news. If the news is getting you down, just stop watching the news. Start saying no to people more often. Start setting boundaries and keeping people at a distance. Those are all sort of, I use the word negative, but they're stopping doing things. But
they're negative, but can have a positive impact on you.
Yes. But you've got to look at the flip side as well. What do you need to then start doing? It's all very well getting rid of all sorts of things which don't serve your purpose, but you've got to then start doing.
Well, not necessarily, because I think if you're starting to say no to all those things that all those things you just listed, helps create the space for you.
Yes.
To think about what you then want to say yes to, if that makes sense.
Yes, and I didn't. That's what I meant. That's because you've made the space by doing all those.
But it doesn't necessarily mean you have to fill it with other things.
No.
Just create space.
Yes.
Literally in your head is enough.
Yes.
Can be enough to make you feel lighter. That mental overload can be unbearable at times. And I like the phrase, being in giving recovery. Don't feel guilty because you're not giving your time to 51 million people all the time. Don't feel guilty for saying no. I remember somebody, I don't know who it was, probably my counsellor was saying, Michelle, don't you think you've done enough for certain people? Don't you think there's a line? And it's very, very difficult when you're in that habit of giving and you've got to think about, okay, why am I doing it? Is it for validation? Is it because I am a giving person? Is it to make me feel more valued? Is it why am I doing it? Why? And it comes back to the pause and those difficult conversations to have with yourself about, is it the end of the world if I just take a big step back? No, it's not, because the people who love and care for you will still be there after you give yourself that permission to just stop and reflect and make changes.
And doing that, you are investing in yourself.
Yeah.
By stopping that.
Yeah. And midlife is a great time to do that. If you don't give yourself time, and I'll say it and I'll keep beating on about it, you won't have time for anybody.
It's decluttering your life in a different way. People talk about getting in consultants to literally declutter all the rubbish that people accumulate over years and years and years. But there's a decluttering of your mind as well.
Yeah.
Because we get into our 40s and our 50s and our 60s. If we're not careful, we have a head that's full of sending us crazy. We do need some way of sorting it out, sorting ourselves out, decluttering, so that you can make that space and move forward positively, and dare I say it, in an orderly. You probably don't agree with it. In the way my mind works.
Yeah, well, you compartmentalise.
That's right. It's just trying to have a more orderly life, or think that you have a more orderly life.
Yeah, a sense of control, I think, over the chaos.
Yes.
Because the shit will still hit the fan. Because life happens.
Yeah.
But if you've made the space and you've got that little bit of extra time for you and you've got that extra energy, you'll be able to deal with life so much better when the curveballs come, won't you?
Yeah.
And part of us acknowledging that, and part of me doing this work, was why I did the coaching qualification, why I launched the podcast. There's so many reasons, but I think the nub of it is me acknowledging the power of conversation with yourself and with others. And that's one of the reasons I started the podcast, and also to keep up my own confidence, to give myself a bit of a voice, to challenge myself with something new, to still feel like I was giving back without running around Liverpool like a crazy woman, like I'd done for the last 20 years. Giving. Okay, earning money, yes. But a lot of that was about the passion I had for the city, the passion I had for people, the passion I had to help and support people. But it did take its toll on me. So my reflection has resulted in a life shift of career and setting up a podcast that I can do when I want on my terms, and coaching that I can do when I want on my terms. And coaching is about listening to people and helping them create the space. So, I've invested in a coach. I don't have one at the moment, but I knew that I needed to invest in somebody to talk this through with me, and to reassure me that I was going in the right direction, and to help me clear and declutter my mind, to create the life I wanted. It wasn't just about me and you. It was about what I wanted my life to look like, going forward in my midlife.
And all of those things. So again, back to the 10 years, 2016 to 2026, in sort of the years from 2020 through to now, I'd like to think that one of the messages, it's never too late.
Absolutely.
To learn these new things.
Absolutely. Never too late.
And you did your coaching qualification and started the podcast for very clear reasons.
Yeah.
We've both had to stay up with social media and how to use that.
Sort of, yeah. We do our best.
In our personal lives and in our work lives as well. Yes, I struggle, as you know, I struggle big time on that. Learning about tech, there's always opportunities to keep on learning. And unfortunately, in today's society, I think that will be, let's say, a requirement. Yeah. Life moves so quickly now.
Yeah.
I wonder if people our age in the 1970s said life
they probably did.
Yeah, it goes so quickly.
Did. We're not on top of it.
No.
We just keep our toe dipped in it.
Or our head above the water.
So sometimes it does feel like we're drowning and we just give up, don't we?
Yeah.
But then we consistently do come back. We're not consistent, but what we are consistent on is coming back.
Yes. But we haven't
what we want to deliver and what we want to give.
And we haven't given up on
we haven't given up
on new opportunities to learn something new.
Absolutely. Don't give up. If it's something that you're passionate about, if it's something that keeps niggling at you. I mean, I think there's been many a day where I have gone, what the hell am I doing it for? And I think there's been many a day where you've just gone, why doesn't she just give up? I do think that you have thought that.
No.
But actually, that whole listening to yourself, no, right now. And the day that I go, this has got to stop, I'll stop. But right now, it just keeps niggling at me. So while it's niggling at me, I'm going to do it.
I wonder if I do think that, why doesn't she just give up? I don't think I do.
I do think that you did say to me once, what are you doing it for?
That was to prompt you to respond positively.
You were just like, oh. But you have to admit, and I have dragged you to it somewhat, but I always say to you, you don't have to do it, you don't have to do it. But you're curious too. You love a challenge.
Of course I do, yeah. And I love this podcast, and I love learning. No, I do love this podcast, and I like the tech. The thing that I struggle with is social media.
I know, it's a necessary evil. Otherwise, no one would listen.
Yes.
And we do have some decent listeners.
You're good at social media.
I'm not that great because we haven't got that many. Please follow us.
Yeah.
But we're not hung up on the numbers, are we? We're just, again, we always say, help one person with one thing that we've said, then that's an achievement for us. But actually, we do help more people. Yeah. And we like to think that some of our messaging is being listened to.
Yes.
And people are taking on board some of our stories and our experiences, hopefully looking at their own life and taking some of those lessons and helping them move forward in their own lives.
Yes.
That's why we do it, isn't it?
It is. It is why we do it, because we're trying to, yes.
And we always say if all else fails, then we've got some nice recordings for great grandkids to watch.
The things that we're doing in our life, which are intentional, so midlife to 100, for example, that we want to live our lives so that we increase the possibility of living a long and healthy life.
Yeah.
And we are very passionate about that.
Yeah.
Whether it's nutrition or physical exercise, community, sleep. Conversation, sleep, all those, the 5 pillars that we've talked about in the past.
Yeah.
We're passionate about that. And one of the things about the podcast is we want to share that.
Yeah, we do.
And as you say, if one person listens or 1,000 or 10,000 people listen, it doesn't matter.
It's a ripple effect. Yes. It's a ripple effect. Yeah. The ripple effect starts with us. It helps us to talk to each other and reflect on some of this stuff that we're doing and keeps us focused, keeps us challenged. But then if anybody listens, they make a change, then it has a ripple effect, not only on them, but on their lives and their families' lives, etc., etc. So that's how we view it. But I suppose the point that we're trying to make is look at your life 10 years ago. Please do look for the good stuff that's improved in the last 10 years. Also realise, and we all do, is how fast time has gone, how quickly time passes, and that no matter how old you are, you can start to make changes and your life can turn like this for the good and the bad. But we've almost got to prepare ourselves for it, be open to opportunity, but make space for when life goes wrong. So you've got the energy and the strength to deal with it.
Shedding those things that don't work for you.
Yeah.
And starting and taking on things that do work for you.
Yeah. If I was going to have a coaching client, I was trying to think of a question that I would ask, and it would be something like, what feels better now than it did 10 years ago in your life? Pick one thing or a number of things and list them down. But also, what feels heavier now? What's one thing that is really on your mind that you think, I'd love to do that, or that really needs addressing? It can be anything from an uncomfortable conversation to addressing your physical health and your mental health, or taking on a new challenge, doing something you've always wanted to do. What's that urge? What's that thing that is endlessly keeps popping up?
So let me ask you then, for you, and we'll start on the heavier side, what feels heavier today than it did 10 years ago?
I think as a woman, there's a lot of pressure in terms of beauty and aging and staying fit. And what I'm learning much more about, obviously I've had back issues all my life, and the last few years I've really focused on my physical fitness. as best that I can with the limitations, because I have got limitations, the limitations that I've got. And that has been a constant source of frustration for me, hasn't it?
It has, but you've come on massive leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Literally and
but I do
metaphorically.
it still weighs on me that I think, oh God, if I feel like this now, this is. But my mindset shift, and I'm really still working on this, is that I have to make my physical exercise an integral part of my life, not just walking the dogs, which has massively helped me. I know it does, walking every day, without a doubt. The power of walking is insane. But I know that I have to consciously introduce, stretching, yoga, Pilates. And now there's a lot of talk about strength exercises and weights, but it is a bit of a minefield, and you do feel under pressure. And what I'm consciously trying to do is not put pressure on myself, but just do what's right for me in terms of my own movement and my own body. So again, I'm doing what's unique for me intentionally, and really trying not to feel overwhelmed by what I'm being told to do on social media.
And you've done very, very well.
I'm trying my best, but it takes work.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel a lot lighter than I do.
Yes,
10 years ago. We bloody antidepressants too, and again, I'm not mocking that. It was a really tough time in my life, but I can also say that what they did do for me was make my belly enormous. And I laugh about it, because I remember thinking, how the hell is that making me feel better, when they made me put weight on? And I came off them myself. There wasn't any, but that was an intentional decision that I realised I probably did need something at the time, but it took me to do that to realise that it wasn't the route for me. I can look back, and also the one other thing I've done is redefine success, which again I think is probably another episode.
Yeah.
Because the pressure we put on ourselves, again, especially as women, and maybe obviously men as well, is the title, the career, the achievements, the acknowledgement, the validation. I really have done my best to let all that go and hone in what is actually my success story.
And I know you did struggle for that with that for quite a while.
Yeah, I did.
In terms of
letting go.
Yes, and in a way not recognizing the successes that you have had in the past in your life. That was the issue. You couldn't recognize those. But you've learned how to recognise those.
I've recognised them now, champion myself, but also redefine what success looks like to me personally. It's not just about corporate titles.
No, it's traditionally, yes, it's not what other people might define.
Yes.
Conventional success.
Yeah. I've got a great success story.
Exactly. It's your own personal successes.
All in the book.
It's all in the book.
So what are you going to do anyway? What about you?
Well, positive nutrition. I'd like to think that in the 10 years that I've known you, that we're eating far
growing
healthier.
Our own food.
We got our own veggie plot.
Yeah.
We've learned so much about nutrition.
Yeah.
We're eating healthier. We feel healthier in terms of our bodies and what we're taking in.
Yeah.
We've learned so much about it.
It's still 80-20 though, isn't it?
Yes,
we
of course.
Still like it.
Yeah. Well,
today we've had a cake.
We had a cake this morning, didn't we? Yeah.
This morning.
Yeah, we're allowed the odd cake.
A chippy tea when we got back from Bali, and roast dinners. Yeah, I love all that.
We have a Mackey's as well.
And definitely we still indulge in our alcohol.
I know. As you know, one of the pillars for long life, a long and healthy life, is to have an active social network and community and so on.
Yeah.
My social network, my community has, over the last 10 years, has become a lot more selective. It's become smaller, better. Let's say better quality. I've lost touch with people for good reason.
It's better quality because it's less, probably, not necessarily the people that are in it, or both.
I think because I'd like to think that I've lost touch with people in a conscious way, intentionally. That I don't want to stay in touch with. And the people that I've stayed in touch with, that I'm still in touch with, is a closer, smaller, better.
But surely there's people you've lost touch with that you'd like to get back in touch with.
I think less so.
Really?
Yeah, less so. But no, I wouldn't. There are people.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could suddenly get in touch with all sorts of people, I would get in touch with the people I wanted to get in touch with.
I know.
Yeah. So,
you're pretty good at that. I feel guilty about that kind of thing. That's where we do differ. And again, I've got this guilt, whether it's a Catholic guilt, whatever it is. If I haven't been in touch, I go, oh, I feel like, or I'll see them and I like their stuff on socials.
What, even if they're not close friends?
Sometimes, yeah.
I think I've been quite good at shedding.
Yeah, you are. You don't care, really.
Yeah, I'd far rather have a smaller number of close quality friends.
You are absolutely
than
right.
knowing lots and lots of people vaguely.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the heavy bit of it.
What was important to you 10 years ago will be totally different to what you would like to think. So there'll be some common themes of family and friendships or whatever. But life definitely moves on, particularly in midlife. It does change what your priorities are.
And that is a good place to end.
And we are in a good place 10 years later. So here's to the next 10 years.
Here's to the next 10 years.
No Prosecco today. Where's Hannah when I need her? Cheers. Happy 2026, and get reflecting, get pausing, get moving forward and walk on. If what we share in our podcasts makes you think that you might want to make a change in your life or in your business, then let's talk. Together, Patrick and I, we make a unique team. We combine our coaching skills with decades of lived experiences. We know what it's like to feel stuck, and we've done the work to come out the other side. And we want to use the lessons that we've learned to help you live the life that you want as well.
And if you want to know more about our coaching offer, then go to our website, talkontowalkon.com. But as we advocate, you can't beat a conversation. Drop us a message on Facebook or on our Instagram at talkontowalkon, and we'd love to hear from you. And we know our stories and our life lessons are making an impact, and with your help, we can reach more people and make an even bigger difference.
So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, share our podcast, or pass our content on to someone who you think might need it or even just enjoy it. So let's connect, let's talk, and let's see where it leads.